I got my license. I did both jobs for 3 years. School librarian. After school, they'd bus over to me, but that would take about an hour. And so for that hour while I was at school, finished my librarian job, I would just cold call. I would cold call and cold call. And I got so damn good at cold calling that I knew within 10 seconds if I was going to have a second conversation with the person. And 5.5 years ago, I was a school librarian and we closed 204 million in 2025, seven.
Welcome to Momentum in Real Estate, your guide to success in the dynamic world of real estate. I'm Cory.
And I'm Kristin James. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, we're here to help you reach new heights.
Success in real estate comes from learning, growing, and serving others.
Join us as we dive into strategies for lead generation, marketing, market trends, and client relationships.
Get ready to ignite your momentum and achieve your goals in real estate.
Let's dive in and unlock your full potential.
This is Momentum in Real Estate.
Today's guest is Brittney Kosev, a real estate broker, investor, and entrepreneur who dreamed big dreams into big results. From her early days as a school librarian and teacher to building a thriving real estate business and investment portfolio, Brittney's journey is all about hustle, growth, and determination. As the broker owner of her own firm, she's passionate about empowering both clients and agents to succeed. With 11 rental properties, part ownership in a mortgage company, and a mission rooted in creating generational change for her family, Brittney's proof that with vision and action, anything is possible. Fun fact, Brittney hosts her own podcast called Cut the BS, Build the Dream. It's a no-nonsense podcast for entrepreneurs, real estate professionals, and dreamers ready to level up, delivering actionable strategies with zero fluff. Welcome, Brittney.
Hi, that's a great intro. Thank you.
Yay, I love it. We're so
Right when
excited.
you're listening to people talk about you, you're like blushing, but you're like, okay, but the right thing to do is to smile graciously.
Oh, I love it. Well, I have always heard that teachers make the best real estate agents. So I know our listeners and ourselves are just so excited to hear from you. So share with us your real estate story in your own words.
Yeah, okay. So I was a librarian. And what I've seen as a broker now, we have 130 or so agents that work at our company. So we're a boutique brokerage. I know everybody's names. Um, and I got that skill from teaching. So there's one. You get real good at memorizing names and faces. You want every kid to feel special. But one thing that I've learned is we all get to real estate in different ways, you know? Very few of my agents started real estate as their first career. Many of us have done other things, and we always bring a different skill set to the table. Um, but my catalyst for getting into real estate, like some people as well, is a major life change. Um, 8.5, 9 years ago, I went through a divorce. And he was the breadwinner. And I made $60,000 as a school librarian. And I knew that I didn't want to live on that. I wanted to provide my kids with a better life than that. My daughter loves competitive cheer. My son loves to spend my money. And both of them are expensive. And so I thought at the time, what could I do? I could bartend, I could sell Scentsy. A bunch of the teachers at my school were selling Scentsy and other like MLM models. And that just didn't align with me. I wanted to do something. If I was going to be away from my kids or give that energy to something, I wanted it to be something that could truly be big. And at the time of the divorce, we were living in our second home we ever owned. And the lady who helped us, sweet lady, she was fumbling MLS papers. We got lost several times. I ended up, as many people do, found the house myself, which was totally fine. I still needed her to help with all of it. But I also then started helping her with a negotiation. Hey, let's start here, and I bet they're going to say this. And then in the end, she made $9,000. And I was like, if she can do it, I can do it. And so I borrowed that belief, right? Like sometimes you have to borrow belief from someone that you know or someone that you admire, maybe feel like they aren't doing as good of a job as you could do. And it gives you that hope. And so I got my license. I did both jobs for 3 years. School librarian here in DFW area. I was the librarian at Carroll Middle School, which was a great place. My kids went to school at the elementary. After school, they'd bus over to me, but that would take about an hour. And so for that hour while I was at school, finished my librarian job, I would just cold call. I would cold call and cold call. And I got so damn good at cold calling that I knew within 10 seconds if I was going to have a second conversation with the person. And I got my scripting, right? It's not really scripting. It's kind of you need an opener. You just need a good opener. And then it's just getting to know someone, just like with anything. Um, and so my third year, I made 80,000 selling real estate, 60 as a librarian. And I said, "What are you doing, Britt? What would happen if you just bet on yourself for a change?" And it was scary because, I have custody of my children, and at the time they were 9 and 7, and insurance and just the consistency of a salary, we become so dependent on those kind of things. And even if we're not, I proved that I could make more money selling real estate, but leaving the security, it was tough. But the next year, because I left and I had this massive stress, I was so nervous. I worked my tail off and I tripled my income in year 4. And then the next year, I doubled it. And then by the 6th year, I was like, wow, I'm mentoring people, I'm growing my portfolio. And then I said, you know what? All these people are getting mentored by me and I'm helping everybody. And I don't have to make money for it. But what if I could teach them all the ways that I'm successful and I have more of a shared interest in their career because we're doing it together? And that's when I opened up the brokerage and started with 10 agents. And that was 3 years ago. Now we're at 130 and we closed 204 million in 2025, 704 transactions. And we are statewide. We are in every major city in Texas, and except El Paso, because that's far. But if anybody wants to open one up in El Paso, I'm not going to say no if they're aligned with our vision. And we're exploring Florida next. So I'm super excited. And it's crazy to think that 5.5 years ago, I was a school librarian, and now I am able to pay my little sister a salary of 60,000 just to help me with the admin at the brokerage. On top of that, we still sell real estate. We're the selling sisters.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Wow. Well, what a journey. I mean, that's just incredible. And yeah, you should be really proud of what you've accomplished. And I hope it's inspirational to our listeners and viewers too.
Well,
Um,
if anything comes from it, and what I really want people to know is every single day I wake up scared, and I have to force myself to get into the right mindset because mindset is everything.
mm,
And if you don't have your thoughts right, you're not going to manifest anything. But I
mm.
still have to get my thoughts right. And so for the people that are just getting started, guys, you'll be 5 steps ahead of me if you start the mindset part now.
Let's talk about that. That's a really kind of critical component for Cory and myself too in our businesses and just in life, is just kind of being anchored when we start the day. What does that look like for you practically? How do you get your mind set right each and every day?
Well, listen, I'm not going to lie and say that every day is the same or perfect. There's the nights where, you have a little bit too much wine with dinner and you're like, I've got to do my mindset routine this morning. But then I tell myself, I'm like, all right, this is when you need it the most. But The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod was a big one for me. I got to listen to him speak at my first Bigger Pockets conference I ever went to. For the investors that listen in, love Bigger Pockets. I love that whole community. And I got to listen to him. He was the keynote. And I was like, he's so right. Our brains are most malleable first thing in the morning. We're still like waking up. We're in that theta state, and it's prime time to train your brain and get those subconscious thoughts aligned with the conscious ones. Because when you do that, you can create real magic. And so I attempt to start every day with a mix of his savers, is what he calls them. And it's scribing, so journaling. I keep a prompt by a flipped calendar prompt. So number one, it reminds me what day of the week it is, first thing in the morning. And also it asks me a question every day. So if I'm not already thinking about something, I get a question and I spend a couple of minutes just journaling. So scribing and then affirmations. Those are huge. Whew, talk about overcoming limiting beliefs. I had some seriously messed up ones from childhood. Um, I was the first person in my family to go to college. So even the borrowing of the belief back then for 18-year-old Brittney, when she's trying to figure out what the hell am I going to do someday? My mom was a barber. My dad ran deliveries for Mrs. Baird's Bread. I don't know if y'all know what that is. And they wanted me to go to college, but I had no clue what to do. I saw a teacher in the parking lot when I was 18 smoking a cigarette. She put it out on her tire, walked in, and she didn't have the best, reputation at the school. And I said, if she can do it, I can do it. And that's why I chose education. Isn't that crazy? Obviously, I love children and I'm the oldest of seven, but it was definitely like the borrowing belief came back then, but affirmations circle back. Sorry, long story. Um, they helped untrain the thoughts I had about money and scarcity and my ability to make it, my ability to keep it, and the fact that it doesn't always have to be hard. And that's one thing that I've been working on recently because I told y'all like I would grind, I would work so hard. Now I'm like, how do I feel the good feelings of work and stay in that flow and alignment? Because money doesn't have to be hard to make. So, affirmations, those are huge, huge for me. Visualization, right? That's my favorite to do in bed. I'll just like, if the alarm goes off, all right, Siri, shut up. And then I keep my red light. Y'all are ladies, y'all get it. We gotta do the self-care. And so I put the red light on, it's over my head. That way I don't go back to sleep. I close my eyes and I just think about what is it going to look like in a few years? Let's think about how great it's going to be, how your children are going to be in college. Oh my gosh. And the brokerage is going to be nationwide. Who knows? And then just like feeling those feelings and living it. And then, yeah, and that's usually when I jump out of bed and start the other stuff, the visualization. Visualization's great in bed, though. Okay, scratch that part from the podcast.
No, I love it. It's like
Listen, I am single.
I love it so much. Sorry. Yeah, sometimes can laugh at things that weren't meant to be.
I'm glad you laughed. You have a great laugh, by the way.
Oh,
It's
thank
very
you.
joyful, beautiful.
Oh.
And my kids make fun of my laugh, so I'll try not to do it. I'm doing it, but I'm doing it quiet. And then E is, and Kristin, your face, I can't stop laughing because you're, I'm gonna look this way. So the E is for exercise. And I always hit the gym before 9 a.m. So that's like my me time. A lot of people like to network at the gym, and I know a lot of realtors that get their business from the gym, but I'm like, don't talk to me, don't look at me. I'm listening to my fantasy audiobook and I am doing my thing. And then reading, and obviously that's a huge one for me. I'm a big believer in you never stop learning, ever, ever, ever. And if someone takes the time to condense their amazing research or 20 years of life experience into a book that we can read in a handful of sittings, why the hell are we not? And so I read every day, one for pleasure and one for growth.
I love that. We are both really big readers, so we're gonna have to talk about the pleasure too. Um, okay, so I really want to dig into um your cold calling that you did. I know that getting into this business and lead generation is the hardest thing. And our listeners have heard us enough talk about how Kristin and I do events and work our sphere, and we just are rooted in our communities, and that helps us. However, I know that there are people that don't have a sphere, just moved, just become
Oh,
realtors.
I got it. I got
Yes,
it.
yes.
Everybody listens for the next 10 minutes. You're going to walk away with a way to make money today. Okay.
Woo!
So I was in the same position. I actually got licensed in Lubbock, Texas, home of the Red Raiders, and moved here year two. So not only did I lose all the ground I made my first year, by year two, I was in a new place. And so I thought to myself, okay, I can host open houses, but that's like a 15, and I did all the research, of course, librarian, 15-to-1 conversion rate there. So that might take me 3 open houses before I get someone, which will take me all these hours. Okay, that sounds like something I can't bet on. I know I only have a couple of hours every day where my kids are not going to be yelling in the background. I need to utilize those hours. So I thought to myself, who is always buying and selling? Who doesn't care that we don't have a deep relationship yet? Investors. Oh, nice. So I went on to every Facebook group I could find and I joined up all these Facebook groups for investors in DFW. The next thing I did, I said, well, I need to find them an ugly house. Investors like ugly houses. And I probably need to get, and I had no idea what a good deal was, right? Like at this time, I'd only owned 2 homes in my life, and both were renovated when I moved in. I had no idea what a good deal was, but I knew that if I could get it cheap enough and we sell it high enough, there's got to be a decent spread for an investor. I obviously started learning more, but my goal at the time is I would get into the MLS and I would go to areas that I knew were nice areas and I would just scour for the ugliest houses there. Then in those Facebook groups, every day I would come up with some new creative way to say, hey, who wants to be on my investor list? I've got properties for flippers. And then the next day I'd say something like, hey, looking for in buyers who wants some property sent their way. So I'd switch up the way I said it until I got about 30 to 40 solid email addresses of investors who want good deals. So back to the ugly house in a pretty neighborhood. I found a few. I looked at it, I read it, I pretty much said, okay, if this house, and I didn't really know how to do a CMA, and I sure as hell didn't know what an ARV was. But it's funny how quickly you start learning things when investors ask you questions. And it's funny, before we had AI, what Google can do. I know you guys have heard GTS, right? Google that shit. Now it's like AI is everything. But back then I didn't know. So I figured it out. I started writing pro formas. I also didn't know what a pro forma was back then, but basically it was a fancy email that said, hey, check out this property in Bedford. Price is asking 325. I think it needs a new roof. I'd read the seller's disclosure notice, right? I'd call the agent, this, and this, and cosmetic updates. And then I would say what I thought the after repair value is. I would, but I didn't use these fancy words at first. ARV is 505. Here's a comp that's sold similar square footage. Let me know if you'd like to schedule a tour. But I didn't put the property address. I created a whole separate Google folder of the pictures. And if that's violating copyright, please don't think about the fact that I was a librarian. I'm trying to sell their house, right? No listing agent ever was mad at me because I did ask them, hey, can I send this house out to people? Always do that, guys, and check with your broker if you're not sure. But anyway, I started getting people who wanted to see these houses that were just on the MLS. I didn't source an off-market deal. And so I'd lock them up and I'd get my 3% or I'd negotiate it however I needed to. But then I got the listing. And I was doing 1% listings for my clients back then. And I did that because, once again, this was me thinking scarcity. I didn't think I was worthy of more. I was just getting my reps in. I was just learning the ropes. Now we don't charge that, the Selling Sisters, because we've built up enough belief in ourselves. And also, like David Goggins says, cookies in the cookie jar. He says, when you do something good, put it in a cookie jar. You're going to need that snack later. So yeah, and then I'd get the listings, sell those. And my thought process was, okay, even at a $300,000 house, I'm making 1%, roughly $3,000. After broker splits, all the things, about 2,500, 2,300. Dang, that's about half of a month's salary as a librarian. And so it made sense. And that's how I built my business. But then I started getting their cousins wanted to buy a house, and my investors started getting loyal. Um, so yeah, guys, there it is. Go to Facebook groups, build you an in buyer list, source some ugly houses, and I'll teach you the trick that I wish somebody would have taught me. $25 per square foot for cosmetic updates, and then subtract majors afterward. So yeah, it was great and built my business like that. Now, I try not to sell to investors unless they are good clients, repeat clients. And I primarily sell to the PTA, to my friends in the neighborhood, my daughter's cheer families, to my son's friends. I want to stay right here and just give to my community and spend more time here.
And Kristin is in Black Mountain, like 30 minutes east of Asheville, and I'm in Fairview. We're very saturated, and what's cool and not cool is that Hurricane Helene really did take out a bunch of those investors, and they were like, heck. So they're selling, they're selling their Airbnbs and their investor. So there's a lot of opportunity right now that I'm seeing, and so is Kristin. So it's
Awesome.
really cool. It's an interesting time for our investors, that's for sure.
That is for sure. Did y'all watch Project Hail Mary? The
Yes.
one with so good, right? I read the book too, which was really good. And
Yes.
it's always going, amaze, amaze. And that's what I feel like I'm doing here, and nothing's happening in mine. I
Nothing's happening. Yeah, I know. I'm like, come on, do
guess
something.
Cory has the magic touch.
Okay,
Yes.
one thing too before we get going for the rest. I was so mad that that movie didn't talk about his face is leaking when he was crying. Remember? I'm like, that was like an important part of the book for me.
It was, and also all the jazz hands. But
Yeah.
another thing too is I wish, no, I'm actually really glad that they cut out the whole like weeks at a time where we're learning how to create the
Yeah.
I
That.
got
Yeah.
uh, that was so boring.
Yeah. That was good. They did a great job. And I know Andy Weir had a big hand in that. So it's always fun when the author is like in cahoots with the whole thing. So
Yeah.
good. Okay, Kristin,
I
remember
love
where
it. That
we
was like
left
a
off?
little brief intermission. That was great.
Come on, guys.
Well, I want to stay on the lead gen track
Okay.
here because I think it's obviously something that in a new agent, an experienced agent, we never get away from lead gen, right? So Brittney, talk to us about you have what you call the three-legged stool of lead gen. Why do you insist every agent have three distinct lead gen strategies?
Well, one of them always has to be the focus of a referral-based business, right? And so they've got to really nurture their farm area and build those relationships. So farm area is one that I say to agents they've got to do is, and how they approach their farm area, that's one of the strategies they can choose. But I'm a big believer in pick a farm area and make it your focus so that it can take two of your stool legs because that's the backbone of your referral based business is you want to sell $1 million houses in a 5 mile radius, then that needs to be your farm area. um, you need to embed yourself in the community there. You need to go to the events, whether it's PTA, the dad's group, church. You got to know people in your community, in your farm area. Number two, though, they might want to add in another systemized structure. So, are you going to be sending out mailers, followed by a newsletter, followed by a personal call? Like, what is going to be your system to hit them to be in flow with them, like ninja selling would say, which we love ninja selling at BK. um, is how are you going to systemize it? So one has to be personal relationships, and the other has to be some sort of system that you want to subscribe to, and it doesn't have to cost. It could be door knocking to that farm area. It could be mailers, it could be newsletters, it could be an advertisement at Tom Thumb. How do you want to do it? Um, and then the last part's got to be a way to fill your pipeline today. And so, whatever three you pick, two of them have to be in your farm area and really focused on it. That third one could even be in your farm area. It could be open houses. If you're going to say, like, that fits your personality type, that fits your schedule, do them. Call the listing agents in the neighborhood that you want to work in. Make sure they know your name. Make sure that you're always available for their listings in this area. It doesn't have to be a BK team, get out there, hustle, show people that you're willing to do the work. For me, it was cold calling. That's what fit my schedule, not necessarily my personality type. I love being with people. But you have to know your schedule and know your energy levels. And I ask all of my agents before they do a workshop with me, strategy call with me, is I want to know your disc profile. I want to read your disc profile. If they have other cool tools that they utilize for self-analysis, like the gene keys or human design, I want to know all of that too. What's your sign? Like whatever they utilize, I want to know about them. But disc is one thing that I make them do because based on their disc, there's lead generation strategies that are going to feel more natural to them. I'm a high I and a D, which is like influencer driver personality type. And that's why cold calling actually worked really well for me. I didn't mind asking for business. That's that driver energy. I also didn't mind putting myself out there to cold call a random stranger. That was that high I in me. But an SC or someone that's more on the conscientious side or more on they really value deep, meaningful social relationships, those S's, they probably will struggle with cold calling. And so I want to know that stuff so that when I'm tailoring someone's strategy for the quarter, um, we can really get nitty gritty.
So good. Goodness, there's been so many good golden nuggets. Like wake up early, figure out your pillars of your business, and go crush it.
Read books.
Yeah, and then reading books. Okay, so as we wrap up here, tell me what are your favorite book? You've already mentioned a couple books that have changed your world, but what is your favorite go-to real estate book besides Savers and or Miracle Morning and the other one you just mentioned?
Selling. Yeah.
Ninja selling, yes.
Okay. This one's not real estate, but I'm a huge believer, like I said before, that mindset is everything.
Hmm.
And I honestly believe that you cannot do well in this industry for the long term and also maintain a healthy lifestyle, meaning you're not stressed all the time, which I can be. I can be, but know thyself. Um, the first book that I ever read that really shook me, that really made me realize, and this was back when I was still married, marriage was tough. I wasn't even in real estate yet, but I knew something was not right in my life and I wanted to fix it. And so most people try fixing the external stuff, the things that they can control. But really, the only thing that we have control of is our thoughts and what we say, of course. But sometimes that's hard too. But our thoughts. And so I read the book You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, and it changed my life. Harry Potter was the first book that changed my life. And then it was You're a Badass by Jen Sincero. She talks about the power of your thoughts, law of attraction, being in your spirituality, whatever that looks like, but also affirmations, meditation. Like she's the one. I've never met her, but I give her book out as gifts to people all the time and with love, right? I'm like, read this, girl, you need it. Not like that, but it's just it was a great book. So that one, and then real estate wise, Ninja Selling is the best. But the second one, I tell all of my agents to read if they were never in sales like me. Although now I realize because of this book I'm about to say, everything is sales, and that's Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. That changed my mindset around selling. I didn't want to bother people. I was kind of ashamed that I had to make money. Like I didn't understand that, hey, they're gonna hire someone anyway. Why not you? And that's what that book taught me. And every day we're either selling something or we're being sold too. That's just the world we live in. And it doesn't have to be sold like in the negative, ugly connotation of it. I'm providing a value and I'm compensated for it. And they're going to choose someone. Why not me? So sell or be sold.
So good. And I'm thinking about a book for you, Brittany. Have you read this one yet? Meditation for Mortals. You're
No,
gonna
and
have
I'm
to write this one down because a friend gifted this to me, and it's a 4-week program, and like I'm ready to go through it again. Like it has been such a good one, but I
to
just
get your
how
number after this.
heavy the mindset thing is really. I was like, Brittany probably would like that. So, anyways, we'll just give everybody a bunch of reading material to just get through by tomorrow. So it's
I
great.
love it. I love it. I mean, I keep going. Atomic Habits, right? That's a huge
Oh, yeah.
book. We all have bad habits. And sometimes it's a bad habit of thoughts we have, right? Anytime this happens, then this is what I think. But even in a bigger scale, right? Like, let's form a good habit around cold calling.
Mm.
I read also the book, The Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort. I was hesitant because I get a bad taste in my mouth with Wolf of Wall Street, right? Like, gross. I don't want to be anything like him. But he had some traits that were good. He was a salesman. If nothing
Mhm.
else, he was a salesman. And that book, The Way of the Wolf, is him reformed post prison. And he's teaching his sales tactics. And one of them, he talks about the power of our ability to smell. And so he said that when a good call would happen, he would smell this one scent, and I forget what it was. It was not terrible. It was a positive scent for him, but he didn't have any other association to that scent. So he'd smell it, and then he'd feel that good feeling like, yeah, I just landed that deal. So we started doing that at the brokerage. One of our girls bought me, I'm trying to find it. I don't use it anymore because I just know I'm good. But
Because you're a badass.
that's right. But in Wave or Wolf of Wall Street, Matthew McConaughey's beating on his chest, right, before he makes the call. Well, we smell it and we're like, let's do this. and we'll do live calling parties on Google Meet, and it's a lot of fun.
That's amazing. I love that. Um, okay, final question. What's one piece of advice you'd give to an agent who might be listening or watching who feels a bit stuck and wants to level up?
Oh, well, not to jump on mindset, but I'd look there first. I would say, do I really believe I am capable of this? Because to be successful in anything you do, there's three parts to it. First, you have to know you're worthy, and you have to really believe it. I am worthy of success in this business. No one is going to do it better than me. You look in the mirror every day and you say that to yourself. You speak that to life because everything happens twice, once in our heads and once in reality. And then number two is it's worth decide. How are you going to do it? What are you going to do? Well, today we talked about the three-legged stool of lead generation. Which ones are yours? Analyze yourself. Do your disc profile. We're so fortunate to have AI right now. And I'll tell you about my thoughts on AI after this, but you can do it. Decide how, and then do the execution. Success is worth, decide, do. And then make sure you're doing it. Hold yourself accountable. And if you can't hold yourself accountable, find someone who will. Everyone has someone that loves them. And if they don't, before you sell real estate, go be good to people so that you have friends that love you. Or you have children that are dependent on you. For me, every week I told my kids, hey, this quarter, I'm pumping up my relationships that I haven't talked to in a while. I'm going to write down 5 names on a sticky note on the fridge on Sunday night. And by next Sunday, you need to see a check mark by each of these. And if you do, then we'll X, Y, and Z, right? I give them a reward. And I did that for a long time. And it helped because they'd be like, Mom, did you call Inga? What? You still haven't? And so it became something that we all looked forward to, and it made us money. So everybody can find an accountability partner. And most people need one and are too afraid to ask. So worth, decide, do.
I love that. That's such a great idea to engage your kids, your family, people you live with. That's incredible. What a
And I
great.
can now write them off because my kids are in my business. Well, but in my business.
They're all up in your business.
All up in my business. 15-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl. Yeah, they've looked under my bed. Everywhere.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time and energy to this podcast. You're amazing. And we are just so grateful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Momentum in Real Estate. We hope you found valuable insights and strategies to propel your real estate journey forward.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to deliver content that resonates with you. Remember, success in real estate is about continuous learning, growth, and serving others. Keep that momentum going and watch your business thrive.
Until next time, keep pushing forward and bringing your real estate dreams to life.
This is Cory Wall
and Kristin James signing off from Momentum in Real Estate.